Hello, my name is Patricija Venckute. I am an apprentice of Asheville Vedic Astrology. This is my last video seminar, a continuation of the deep exploration of rasis. With this video, I will not only continue but conclude my exploration. So therefore, this video will be about the last 4 rasis: Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. To have a foundation for my exploration, I will be using the descriptions from Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra. So this is my last video seminar called Rasis based on Parasara, about Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Let's jump right into it. Today we will begin with the 9th Rashi, Sagittarius. Here you can see a screenshot from Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra, the way it is described. What we will do, as always, just like in the previous seminars, I will take each sentence from the description and analyze separately. So let's begin with the first sentence from the description. The sign Sagittarius is lorded by Jupiter. And the first thing I want to mention is that Jupiter in Sanskrit language is often referred as Guru. Guru most often translates into English as the teacher, meaning that since Sagittarius is lorded by Jupiter, it has a natural proclivity towards learning, gaining knowledge, wisdom, and therefore being able to teach others. Also, talking about Jupiter, it's important to mention the element to which Jupiter belongs, and that is ether or space. So this element has no boundaries, no limitations. It's vast, it's enormous, it's constantly expanding. Therefore, this element indicates that Sagittarius is a Rashi of growth and expansion. Jupiter is also a starry planet, because when we look into the sky, we see it as a star. And starry planets are related to various attributes that we have to develop in order to build a sense of I or a personality. So Sagittarius Rashi is related to developing those various attributes. And because it's ruled by Jupiter, those various attributes might be related to your knowledge, your morality, your religion, cultural background, and things of that nature. Another factor about Jupiter is that it is represented by bipeds. Bipeds are us human beings who are able to apply consciousness and meaning onto life. So based on this, Sagittarius seeks to find greater meaning in life. It doesn't just persevere or survive or just tackle with life. It tries to find what is the bigger picture, what is the lesson, what is the meaning, see life through that sort of lens. And lastly, every planet has a site, So the side of Jupiter is to look everywhere equally. And this is granting Sagittarius the capacity to see the bigger picture of life or any given situation. Okay, so that's it about Sagittarius based on its Lord Jupiter. Let's continue with the next sentence. It is a Sattvic sign and is tawny in hue. Let's begin with Sattva sign, which is really talking about Sattva Guna. So Guna is a Sanskrit word which talks about a certain quality of action or motivation of action. So Sattva Guna represents a quality or motivation of action that is rooted in balance, harmony, goodness, purity, divine inspiration, thoughtfulness, and freedom from any attachments. So all of these qualities of action are related to Sagittarius sign. This is how Sagittarius sign is acting. These are the motivations from which Sagittarius is acting. Now the other part of the sentence, tawny in hue. So tawny or orange in clear psychology is associated with enthusiasm, excitement, brightness, happiness, and the quality of being energizing. Okay, so Sagittarius will be like that. Also, a 2018 study published in the journal Frontiers in Psychology found that orange was seen as an exciting color that could increase energy levels. Based on that, we could assume if someone has, especially the Sun and Mars, these two planets related to energy and energy output, if they are placed in Sagittarius, that person will have a lot of excitement to act, to do, to exert energy outwards, and they will just in general have lots of energy and enthusiasm to act. Okay, that's it with the sentence. Continuing on, the sign Sagittarius rises with its back. It has strength innate and is fiery. So in this sentence, what Parasara is saying is that Sagittarius is a back rising sign. And when a Rashi rises with its back, it means that it is inauspicious. The word inauspicious means unlucky, unfavorable, or unpleasant. This means that the soil of the Sagittarius Rashi is challenging, difficult, and pushing out of the comfort zone. It doesn't manifest with ease, it manifests through effort. Also, Parasara says that Sagittarius is a night-strong sign, which means that it's leaning more towards contemplation and planning. As you can see in the depiction of Sagittarius, it's taking aim. Also, we learned that Sagittarius is a fiery sign, or in other words, it belongs to the fire element. And here I have a quote from a Jyotishi Vidikara. I'm sure most of you will know him. This is what he has said about the fire element. Fire is bright and hot. Because it is bright, it symbolizes the ability to illuminate and make clear judgments and decisions. The downside of this is hasty decisions. Fire is hot, so it symbolizes energy and power. Power is useful for enforcing judgments and punishing transgressors. I envision the fire element as a strong man holding a torch for a group of people trying to find their way in the dark night. So from this description of the fire element, we hear a few key words that are related to the fire element. It is bright. It is therefore illuminating. It is hot, and therefore it is about generating energy, having power, and being able to lead others, be in a position of leadership. So all of this is describing Sagittarius as well. Okay, moving on. A royal sign. Sagittarius is biped in first half. Its second half is quadruped. Let's begin with the first part of the sentence, a royal sign. So the word royal stems from Old French and Latin, which mean fit for a king, of a king, kingly. Since Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, not the sun, the energy of the word royal might incline Sagittarius to become an authority as a teacher or as a mentor. However, if it is leaning towards authority on a grander scale, Sagittarius then might produce a wise and well-educated leader. Okay, the other part of the sentence. It is saying that it is biped and it is quadruped at the same time. As we can see through the depiction of Sagittarius, half of it is a horse and half of it is a human being. So the first thing we learn about Sagittarius is that it is both flexible and stubborn. So there will be things about which Sagittarius will be flexible, and then some things about which Sagittarius will be stubborn. Also, when you add a human and a horse together, what you get is someone who's searching for knowledge and truth, that's represented by the human form, and seeking expansion. Remember, it's ruled by Jupiter, through constant movement and travel. That's the horse part, movement and travel. So with Sagittarius energy, we are not getting fixed on one thing, but we are constantly moving, evolving, searching, discovering, and in that way, expanding ourselves, finding what is the truth for me, finding knowledge which aligns with me. And here to conclude, I have a quote from Ryan Kurtzak. Has a human's consciousness and the power of a horse. Ideals and philosophy can be very powerful. Think about how many wars were fueled by religious beliefs, or not just religious beliefs. We can simply remember what was done to Jewish people by the Nazis. All of that was fueled by certain ideas and beliefs about the human race. So with this quote of Ryan Kurtzak, we are understanding that Sagittarius, indeed, because it's a fire element sign and it's a human, half horse, holds lots of power within. Many great or not great things can be done if one taps into the energy of Sagittarius. Next, it has an even build and adores an arch. An even build. This is saying that Sagittarius gives a balanced or medium body, or can make a body part even based on its placement in the birth chart. Now the other part of the sentence, adores an arch. Let's dive deeper into the word adore. This is what I love to do, dive deeper into the words, because diving deeper into the words reveals much more than just looking at the word as it is. So the word adore stems from Latin and means to worship or to honor very highly. An arch can be perceived through many perspectives. For instance, an arch can be a tool for defense and fighting, or even hunting. Okay, so Sagittarius will approach these things with lots of honor and dedication. Also, an arch can be a part of a sport or discipline. This is giving an insight that Sagittarius is linked to sports, or sports that are related to fighting, defense, like martial arts, which are also perceived as a discipline. And also symbolically, an arch can represent planning for the future. As Ryan Kurtzak has said, how do we approach our goals? How do we plan for the future? He was saying that Sagittarius can reveal the answers to these questions. In addition, an arch in the ancient Hindu epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata is symbolic of strength and perseverance, as well as concentration and a sharp mind. And here's another quote from Ryan Kurtzak, which connects with this. Your sitting position of meditation is like a bow. The aiming arrow is like the focus and aimed energy. So from this, we are learning that Sagittarius can be sharp, concentrated, focused on the things that it is planning, on the things that it is aiming on. And then in general, Sagittarius is almost like teaching us that, first of all, it's important to set an eye on something, plan for it, aim for it. And then as you do so, have concentration, have focus if you want to accomplish it. Okay, next up, it resides in the east, resorts to land, and is splendorous. Let's begin with the east. As the sun rises in the east, it sheds light on the world, illuminating darkness of the night. Sagittarius linked to the east could be interpreted as the quest for truth, higher knowledge, spiritual aspiration, or an ideal. In essence, all of this speaks of the illumination of the mind or consciousness. Now, Sagittarius also resorts to land. And Ryan Kurtzak has said about Sagittarius, living in the world, not an escapist. So even though the sign is connected to spiritual aspirations, spiritual fields, avenues of exploration, at the same time, this is a sign that doesn't try to escape through all of this, but to use it, implement it into this world, as a philosophy, as a belief system, again, to have a greater meaning for this life, or have more inspiration to do something great in this life. And Parashara also states that Sagittarius is splendorous. Now, splendorous stems from Latin splendere, which means to be bright. When someone says they, she, he is a bright person, what is meant to express is that the person is intelligent, knowledgeable, well-experienced, open-minded, curious, and brightly thinking, or positive, optimistic. So all of these different words are describing Sagittarius, the nature of Sagittarius. To be intelligent, knowledgeable, well-experienced, open-minded, curious, and thinking in a bright way. Okay, so we just concluded about Sagittarius. But before jumping into the next Rashi, let's look at the summary of Sagittarius Rashi. So Sagittarius embodies growth, higher knowledge, and the quest for meaning. Its human horse form symbolizes a powerful blend of intellect and primal instinct that influences the focus towards illumination. With the fire element and sattva guna, Sagittarius has the ability to see the bigger picture clearly, make wise decisions, and act from purity and inspiration, though it may sometimes struggle with impatience or hasty actions. As a night strong and back rising sign, Sagittarius pushes individuals to go out of their comfort zone, fostering resilience, concentration, and a disciplined pursuit of goals, qualities reflected in its love for the arch as a symbol for aiming and focus. Lastly, Sagittarian energy is bright and linked with leadership, teaching, and wisdom. While driven by ideals and philosophical depth, it remains grounded in the real world experience. Okay, so that's all about Sagittarius based on the description from Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra. Let's move on to the 10th Rashi, Capricorn. Here again, you can see the screenshot from Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra. We will do the same thing, dissect into separate sentences. And let's begin with the first one. Capricorn is lorded by Saturn and has predominance of Tamaguna. So let's go through a few fundamental factors about Saturn, and through that we will understand Capricorn. So Saturn represents the serving caste. Thus Capricorn is a Rashi of service. Also, Saturn looks down, which means that it focuses on the physical plane and on the problems. So this means that Capricorn is of service, and that service is related to the physical plane, and especially on the problems of the physical plane, solving them, dealing with them. Moreover, the form of Saturn is represented by quadrupeds, meaning that it is about facing the challenge of survival and dealing with hardships. So with Sagittarius, we learn that its approach to life is to find a greater picture, a meaning. But with Capricorn, that stops existing, and it's about pure survival, facing the challenge, facing the difficulties, and pushing through. Also, Saturn is a dry planet, thus it doesn't give or care about comfort. It likes things to be natural as they are. Capricorn likes things to be natural. Furthermore, it is not pleasing or soothing, but straightforward, raw, and focused on work. So Capricorn is like that. Lastly, Parasara states that Capricorn is predominant in Tamaguna. Here we see another guna, or quality of action. And tamas means darkness, gloom, dullness, when you translate it from Sanskrit into English. So with this in mind, the quality of action of tamas guna is based on the need to fix and improve things, because the mind focuses on negativity and problems. So this is like another layer that indicates Capricorn to be Rashi, built to focus on problems, on issues, on things that need to be fixed, than just accepting them. Okay, it is an earthly sign and represents the southern direction. Let's begin with the first part of the sentence. So as an earth sign, Capricorn is grounded, practical, and structured. Its main concern circles around the material and physical world, work, and basic survival needs or topics, like food, shelter, safety. Earth also implies endurance and patience. Capricorn builds slowly but surely, like climbing a steep mountain, one step at a time. From this, we also learn that if someone has, let's say, Lagna in Capricorn, life will be teaching them endurance and patience. Things will not come to fruition quickly. And lastly, about the earth sign, about the earth element, here is another quote from Vickara. Stability and earth are connected to the south, which is considered a downward direction pointing towards the stable earth. So Capricorn is about stability, the cultivation of stability. And it belongs to the south. So south is traditionally considered the direction of Yama, the god of death, and is associated with karma, time, and inevitability. Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, resonates deeply with these themes. Additionally, this gives Capricorn a flavor of seriousness, sobriety, and maturity, facing life as it is, including its limitations and responsibilities. Or in other words, we could say that Capricorn is a realistic sign. It doesn't dwell in dreams and fantasies about the world. It strives to see it, perceive it as it is, and accept it as it is, with all ups and downs, beautiful and ugly. It is strong in nights and rises with back. It has a large body. So here we find another back rising sign, which again means that Capricorn as soil is not easy to manifest. It is also a night strong sign. This means the energy of Capricorn is leaning more towards passivity and planning. And Capricorn gives a large body. It can give a larger, bigger body, especially if it's on the Lagna. or depending on the house placement, it makes the body part bigger. For example, Capricorn in the 3rd house might produce bigger hands or arms. Also, a larger body typically is built on robust bones that take longer to deteriorate due to age. So this is another insight about the stamina, the resilience, the perseverance of Capricorn Rashi. Its complexion is variegated and it resorts to both forests and lands. The word variegated this means diverse, mixed, or even complex. Capricorn Rashi is represented by a diverse and complex creature that is half a goat or a deer and half a fish. It symbolizes a blending of earthly pragmatism with emotional or spiritual depth. Someone who can navigate both material and inner worlds. Additionally, its variegated complexion may also speak to the ability to wear many roles or adapt to varied social, professional, and emotional terrains. Now, the forest part, it represents the internal, contemplative aspect of Capricorn Rashi, who endures solitude, discipline, and silence. And the land represents the outward and physical aspect of Capricorn that is focused on building careers, structure, systems, and authority in the world. Its first half is quadruped and second half footless, moving in water. Let's begin with the first half of the body, quadruped. Capricorn Rashi is related to the consciousness of an animal, which is instinctual, primal, raw, simple, rough, enduring, and strong. In addition, the first half of Capricorn indicates that it is firmly standing on the ground and learning to be stable in the earthly realm. Along that, Capricorn teaches to be practical, simple, and humble, down to earth. Now, it's also footless, moving in water. Here is what Ryan Kurtzek has said about this. Working on the ability to move through waters, mastery of one's emotional states. So the second half of Capricorn reveals it to be a sign of self-management and self-mastery, especially on the emotional level. Now, if you put all of it together, the whole body of Capricorn is saying that probably the greatest lesson of Capricorn is to cultivate a connection between the outer energy that goes and does things in the physical sphere with the internal energy that ebbs and flows like water, learning how to manage and master both sides. Okay, so we just concluded exploration of what Parasara said about Capricorn. Before going into the next sign, let's look at the summary of Capricorn Rashi. So Capricorn is about service, survival, and hard work, ruled by Saturn and focused on solving real-world problems without seeking comfort. Even when it's not nice, comfortable, pleasing, Capricorn has to still do the work because it's necessary. It has a complex nature. It's half goat, half fish, symbolizing both practical and earthly focus, as well as emotional depth, learning to master both. It's linked to karma, time, responsibility, connected to the southern direction and the serious, mature energy of Saturn. Capricorn builds strength through challenge, combining discipline with emotional management. Okay, the 11th Rashi, Aquarius. We will do just the same, dissect the description from Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra. And let's begin with the first sentence. The sign Aquarius represents a man holding a pot. Now, it's important to remember that Aquarius is a sign that goes before the last sign of the zodiac belt, Pisces, meaning that Aquarius prepares us for the end of a cycle. So, having that in mind, let's analyze the idea of a pot. So, a pot can be viewed as a container of all sorts of ideas, beliefs, experiences, mental constructs, and karmas that one accumulates throughout their lives. In order to end the cycle and transcend, one has to release the entire content of the pot. A pot could also be perceived as resources that are used to help or serve others, as the man is pouring out the content of the pot into the collective waters. This is what Brihat Parasara has said in relation to this perspective. In the 11th, we let go of personal compulsion and obsession to be able to do things not only for our individuated self, but also for the totality. Also, another quote from Brihat Parasara: you can truly be serviceable to others when you empty yourself out. So, Aquarius is another sign of service. So the pot can be viewed from the angle of serving others. First of all, by emptying yourself out, cleansing yourself, so you could serve others without conditions. And at the same time, a pot can be perceived from the perspective of getting ready to end the cycle. Therefore, releasing, letting go of everything you have accumulated that represents or holds the structure of who you are. So all of that has to be released. Its complexion is deep brown, it has a medium build, and is a biped sign. Deep brown complexion could be interpreted as a result of hard work in the fields, indicating that Aquarius is a rush of service and labor. Now, deep brown, according to color psychology, is often associated with resilience, dependability, security, and safety. Furthermore, brown is also described as natural, down-to-earth, and conventional. All of this is describing the nature of Aquarius. Now, it's also medium built, so it can give a body which is medium, or a body part which is medium. Like if Aquarius is in the first house, it can give a medium-sized body relative to one's culture. It's also a biped sign, which means that it is two-footed. And that means that it has an ability to be better at adapting to life, adapting to others. It is very strong in daytime. It resorts to deep water and is airy. Okay, a lot to uncover here. Let's begin with the first sentence. Here we finally see a day-strong sign, which means that Aquarius Rashi is suitable for activity. In other words, doing instead of dreaming or being passive. And the emphasis, very strong, tells that Aquarius gains more and more strength the more it engages with the daytime activity. Now, it is also said that Aquarius resorts to deep water. What does that mean? Symbolically, deep waters can be understood as the realm of the subconscious, of the collective or the individual. According to the meaning of the word resort, which is to frequently visit a place, Parasara gives us clues that Aquarius Rashi is related to the process of often visiting the subconscious mind or the collective realm. To resort also means to go to a place or take certain action in a difficult situation. While deep water could be also seen as a symbol for the spiritual or the mystical. Based on that, resorting to deep water could reflect Aquarius seeking spiritual or psychological depth to transcend difficult karmas. And lastly, it is an Aries sign, meaning that Aquarius belongs to the air element, which can make the sign cold, quick, social, and unstable. So it can be on one hand dependable because it is related to the color brown, but at the same time, sometimes it can be unstable. Moreover, the air element increases mental activities, which can strengthen the thinking and analyzing processes, but also cause anxiety and internal restlessness. Here I want to pause for a second and remind of Capricorn. So Capricorn is related to the emotional body, mastering, managing the emotional body. Here with Aquarius, we are discovering that it is related to the mental sphere or the mental body and working with the mind, with the mental aspect of oneself, frequently going to the subconscious mind, analyzing what's there to gain a better understanding of oneself, but also the aim of Aquarius is to release that which is no longer needed, necessary. It rises with its head and is tamasic. So Aquarius is a front rising sign, which means that it has an auspicious quality. In other words, the soil of Aquarius can manifest with more ease and grace. Moreover, since it rises with its head, it also indicates that Aquarius tends to respond to life not immediately or based on instincts. Rather, it tends to think things through and then make a decision. And here, just like Capricorn, Aquarius is another tamas guna sign, meaning that it also focuses more on the problems and negativity and how to fix them. It rules Shudras, the fourth Varna, and the West. The fourth Varna is to say that it belongs to the Shudra caste. It's synonymous. The fourth Varna and Shudra caste. So Shudra is the fourth caste, fourth Varna of the caste system of India. In today's world, it would relate to the serving and hard-working class. Now it is also related to the West. The sun sets in the West. Thus it represents endings. Having in mind that Aquarius goes before Pisces, the western direction in relation to Aquarius could be perceived as a symbol for letting go, transcending ego, and burning off karma. From another perspective, the setting sun in the west can be linked to the ending of the day, the end of work and responsibilities, and with that a time for pleasure and relaxation. This means that Aquarius, besides labor, service, hard work, is also related to leisure time and fun, getting involved in social activities. Okay, the last sentence, its Lord is Saturn, the sun's offspring. Here I thought to introduce the myth of Saturn because Parasara in this sentence is giving us sort of clues that we should be looking into the myth of Saturn, since it is the offspring of the sun. So let's look into the myth and see what can be learned from the myth about Aquarius. So the myth of Saturn goes like this. The sun was married to Sanya, the daughter of Vishvakarma. Sanya found the sun's radiance too intense and could not bear it. So she left, creating a shadow form of herself called Chaya, shadow, to take her place. Chaya, the shadow wife, lived with the sun as his consort, and from their union was born Saturn. When the sun eventually learned that Chaya was not Sanya, he was furious. According to some versions, the sun rejected or even cursed Saturn. So what can we learn from this myth? First of all, just like Saturn was born from Chaya, Aquarius values the overlooked, the ones who are in the shadows, the minorities, the ones that are rejected. And Aquarius rejects ego-driven power. Instead, it champions the collective. Also, Aquarius is the water bearer, not the king who drinks, but the one who serves the water. Additionally, Saturn influences Aquarius to be realistic, rational, objective, and analytical. So that's about Aquarius. Before jumping into the last Rashi, let's look at the summary of Aquarius Rashi. Aquarius symbolizes a vessel of accumulated karmas, beliefs, and experiences. Positioned just before Pisces, it prepares us for spiritual closure by encouraging us to empty the pot, to release personal attachments and serve the greater whole. Rooted in the myth of Saturn's birth from the shadow, Aquarius honors the marginalized and rejects ego-driven authority. It channels Tamasic as a drive to fix, improve, and serve, aligning with the Sutra archetype of humble, sustaining labor. Aquarius frequently engages with the subconscious or collective psyche. Its strength grows through daytime activity, strategic thinking, and being realistic, grounded, not impulsive or reactive. It reflects both the completion of responsibilities and the enjoyment of social, intellectual, and leisure pursuits, balancing Saturn's burden with human connection. Okay, so the last Rashi, the 12th Rashi, Pisces. Let's jump into it, beginning with the first sentence. Pisces resembles a pair of fish, one-tailed with the head of the other. What is the image here? There are two fish swimming in opposite directions, yet connected. One's head is tied to the other's tail. This suggests a circular or cyclical motion without a clear beginning or an end, meaning that Pisces symbolizes eternity. Here I have another quote from Venckute in relation to the image of the two fish. Two fish swimming in opposite direction depict the dual nature of the sign, suggesting its intention to embrace multiple points of view without being interested in reaching specific destination and conclusion. And here another quote from Ryan Kurtzak. Two fish, not one. That's a symbol of unification and balance. So we could assume if someone has lots of energy in Pisces, that one of the greater aims for that person will be to unify in oneself and find unification with the entire existence. At the same time, balance and the ability to grasp multiple points of view, but not trying to determine the right one or the ultimate one. Just grasp the entirety, the eternity of all. Now there's also symbolism of the fish in a Vedic myth that I would like to share with you. And it's about that the Matsya avatar, symbolizing Lord Vishnu's first incarnation as a fish, is a historic event deeply rooted in the Hindu Vedic Puranas. This divine manifestation underscores themes of cosmic balance, preservation, and the safeguarding of sacred knowledge in the face of chaos. So Pisces is about cosmic balance in general, and preserving the sacred knowledge, preserving the traditions, preserving what has been passed through generations, especially that which is sacred, deep, profound. Now, additional insight. One fish is struggling against the current, the other is surrendering to the flow. Here we discover the push-pull of karma and liberation with Pisces Rashi. This sign is night strong, it is a watery sign and is predominant with Sattva Guna. So Pisces is strong in night, meaning that it's leaning more towards passivity, contemplation, and dreaming. Also, it is a water element sign, meaning that it mainly relies on sensitivity of the senses or intuition, being in tune with your senses, with your radars, scanning what's happening around you. Also on motions, feelings, and imagination. Moreover, the water element is the most malleable of them all, enabling Pisces to effortlessly adapt, shift, and transform itself in any given situation. Also, water has no boundaries. Thus, Pisces can represent the dissolution of separation, but also issues with emotional or even psychic overwhelm. In addition, Pisces is receptive to the flow of life. It surrenders to the stream of water. And Sattva Guna, it represents a quality or motivation of action that is rooted in balance, harmony, goodness, purity, divine inspiration, thoughtfulness, and freedom from any attachments. Because it is a water sign, because it is represented by the fish, I perceive Pisces as the sign that portrays Sattva Guna in its highest octave, which is the ability to completely surrender to the divine, realize that behind everything stands the divine, have absolute trust, and therefore allow oneself to be guided and just flow with the stream. Okay, it denotes resoluteness and is a water resorter. Let's begin with it denotes resoluteness. And here again, let's dive deeper into the word denotes. The word denote stems from Latin denotare, which means mark off from others, identify by a mark, or be a sign or symptom of something. While the word resoluteness comes from Latin resolutus or risolvere, which means untie, unfasten, loose structure, dissolve. So according to the etymology of the two words, it denotes resoluteness could be interpreted to mean that Pisces is the sign of disentanglement from any shape, any structure or form, and therefore a complete conclusion. Pisces is also a water resorter. Symbolically, deep water can be understood as the realm of subconscious mind, or the transcendental and mystical. According to the meaning of the word resort, which is to frequently visit the place, Parasara gives us clues that Pisces Rashi is related to the process of often visiting the subconscious mind and the metaphysical territory. To resort also means to go to a place or take certain action in a difficult situation. So based on that, the description could also be understood as seeking for internal transcendence in moments of difficulty. It is footless and has a medium build. Let's begin with the part that it is footless. So Pisces has no feet. This is symbolic, meaning that the energy of Pisces is not standing on the ground. In other words, Pisces is not connected or invested in earthly matters. Or it could also be interpreted as walking the pathless path and embracing the unknown. This is what Ryan Kurtzak has said in relation to this idea. It doesn't try to stand firmly on something. In other words, it doesn't need to prove anything to anyone or to be validated by others. It is free. It is free from all of that. And because Pisces is medium built, it can give a body or a body part medium sized. Now, it rules the north and rises with both head and back. Let's begin with it rules the north. The northern direction points to the heavens and beyond. Thus, it symbolizes spiritual quest, growth, and a non-physical focus or aim. However, Pisces doesn't just belong to the north. Parasara clearly states that it rules it. To rule something means to be an absolute authority over the matter, or even a representative of it. Based on that, it rules the north can be interpreted to mean that Pisces is the Rashi that most represents and carries the energy of the northern direction. So it's a sign that mostly represents spiritual quest, growth, and focusing on that which is not physical. And it is both front and back rising, which means that Pisces is both auspicious and inauspicious. It can present both challenges and also grant grace and ease. Lastly, it is ruled by Jupiter. Here again, just like with Sagittarius, we will go through the same factors that are related to Jupiter. So Jupiter in Sanskrit is called Guru, which most often is translated as the teacher, meaning that Pisces is another sign which is related to learning as much as possible, like we learned previously, grasping as many points as possible, accumulating wisdom and knowledge, and therefore then being able to teach others. The element of Jupiter is ether or space. So just like Sagittarius, Pisces is about growth, is about expansion. Also, Jupiter is a starry planet. So with Pisces, we see that there will be certain attributes that we will be developing. Again, these will be mostly related to one's knowledge, to one's spiritual maturity, things of that nature. Jupiter is represented by bipeds. Based on this, Pisces seeks to find greater meaning in life. And because the side of Jupiter is to look everywhere, Pisces has the capacity to see the bigger picture of life or any given situation. Okay, so we just went through all of the description. Now let's look at the summary of Pisces Rashi. Pisces symbolizes the endless cycle of life, dissolving boundaries and attachments through surrender and spiritual flow. The two fish reflect inner duality, struggle and surrender, while Pisces navigates life through emotion, imagination, and deep sensitivity. Ruled by Jupiter and the North, Pisces represents transcendence, higher wisdom, and detachment from earthly concerns. Mutable and watery, Pisces adapts easily but holds deep water for transformation, guided by feelings and inner vision. So that's it. We have reached the end of the exploration of the four Rashis: Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And we have reached the conclusion of the exploration of the entire circle of the Rashis. By no means, of course, my interpretations, my explorations are complete and absolute. These are just perspectives, possible perspectives, certain angles from which I am seeing these signs. Even I don't see it only through these specific interpretations. I can't put everything into a 1-hour video seminar, but I feel that I have added a good amount. I hope that this will be insightful for you. Thank you so much for watching, for staying with me throughout all of the series, and I hope to see you another time.